This week's Parsha is Parshas Mishpatim, and this video is sponsored Le'il Nishmas Reb Aaron Tzvi ben Reb Yehuda. The Torah starts off Ve'ela HaMishpatim Asher Tasim Lefneim Ki Sikne Eved Ivri. When you buy an Eved Ivri, frek the Alter von Kelm, why is it that the Torah starts off the Parsha with such a negative aspect? The Eved Ivri that was bought, he was a Jewish person, but he stole, he was a thief. And because he stole and he couldn't pay back, he had to be sold as a slave in order to pay for his crimes. Frek the Alter, why is the Torah starting with a thief rather than something more uplifting or upbeat, like in Kesef Talves Ami, if you lend money to a poor person, or Shemer Chinam, someone watches his friend's item for free, something like that that's a little more heartwarming. Why start with a thief? Says the Alter that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is our Father. He's our Father in heaven. And what does a father want to do? He wants to take care of his children. But which children does he take care of first? The ones that need him the most, the ones that are in trouble. The thief, the one that has nowhere to go, nowhere to turn, that can't afford anything, and he has to steal in order to sustain himself, that's his biggest priority right now. So what does the Kadosh Baruch Hu do? He takes care of him. He makes him his top priority at the beginning of the Parsha. How so? Because in our judicial system today, how would this thief be treated? He would be sent to jail, and in the court system he'd go through the whole system and he'd meet other criminals and he'd be learning from their ways and he'd be dragged down to their level, and then even once he's freed, he'd come out and having learned from their ways, go out and steal again, and it would just be a vicious cycle and be brought down to the dregs of society. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in his infinite wisdom in the Torah, has such a beautiful different approach. Instead of a thief going to jail, a thief now lives with another Jewish family. They bring him in, they care for him, they bring him the best. The Gemara even says, Misha kana, Eved kana odin la'atzma. Someone who acquires a slave is like acquiring for a master for himself, because he has to give him the best. If you sleep on 3 pillows, he has to sleep on 3 pillows. If you have steak and wine for dinner every night, that Eved, that slave, also deserves steak and wine every night, and that's a chiyuv. So you have to spend so much more to have a Jewish Eved. But at the same time, you see a Jewish family, you see how they have Shabbos, they do mitzvahs, and they're a good, uplifting family that brings them in and treats them like a human being, and they learn from their ways. And even once he's freed, let's say he wants to go, the Pasuk in Re'eh, which also talks about the Hilchas Avadim, says, Hanek tanek loy, mitzoincha, migarncha, mikvecha. He has to be treated and left with grain and fruits and sheep. He has to have access to all the master's possessions. He has to be given tons of gifts to go away with. Because without that, how's he going to sustain himself in life? He's going to have to end up stealing again. No, you support him, you bring him, and you give him a parnasa. That's the Jewish way. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is our Father, and He cares about every single one of us. And He knows that eventually everyone falls, everyone does averis. And some people steal, some people do other averis, but He has a path. Hashem has a path to bring everyone back to the Torah and to see the beauty of Yiddishkeit. In fact, Klal Yisrael themselves, 40 days after receiving the Torah, in last week's Parshas Yisrei, they sinned with the Egel Hazav, the golden calf. And yet, HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave them and He brought them back, and that is the beauty of Klal Yisrael. Have a beautiful Shabbos.